Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for day number 31 of my 31 Days of Horror. It's been a blast returning to doing the 31 Days of Horror challenge. This was technically Vol.II or the 2025 edition, however you want to look at it. And I had a great time doing my 31 days this year. I think it was because last year I had a break from doing it and just getting back into the flow of it and, rising to the challenge. I had a really good time with it, and hopefully you guys have had fun watching along for those who have been joining me through this year's 31 days, and especially a shout out to all those who have subscribed and commented and liked the videos. I appreciate it more than you know. I really enjoyed doing the 31 days this year, and I definitely will have the intention of doing it again next year, and I'll keep you guys in the loop with that. But not only are we at day number 31 of the 31 Days of Horror, also happy Halloween, everybody. I put on my Ice Nine Kills Friday the 13th shirt because I actually don't have a specific Halloween themed shirt, but Jason Voorhees, Ice Nine Kills, and then also it's actually Friday today, so makes sense. But yeah, hopefully everyone's having a good, safe, fun, spooky season. I say this all the time, but here in Australia, we don't actually celebrate Halloween the same as in the States and, in some other countries, but slowly we're becoming more and more Americanized, so the streets are looking a little bit more festive around this time, and yeah, I think it's just going to continue growing more and more over the years. But either way, today's movie is one that takes place on Halloween. Definitely has some fun, spooky vibes. It's a family-friendly horror movie, and I know people are going to be talking about whatever movie it is, but today's film from 2006, it is Monster House. So yeah, like I said, I know straight off the bat, everyone, well, not everyone, a lot of people are going to be saying, this isn't a horror movie, like, it's animated, it's a kid's film, you can't include it. Fuck off, like, I am including it. I've always been in the camp of saying that animated movies can be horror, kids' movies can be horror. Even if a movie is targeted towards kids, doesn't mean that it can't be a gateway horror film or have fun Halloween vibes, and that's exactly what you get here in Monster House. If you really, break down the plot for this movie, it's a haunted house film. And I feel like if this movie was live action, a lot less people would be less people would be angry about this one popping up in my horror collection and things like that. If this was a live action film, I think people wouldn't even blink an eye calling it horror. But getting into this movie anyway, because I'm not changing my mind. I love Monster House and I'm super excited to be talking about it on Halloween. So getting into the plot for this movie, so we have our main character in this film, DJ. He's at the point of his life where he's not sure if he wants to be trick-or-treating anymore. He sort of wants to be seen more of a grown-up, an adult. He's probably fucking 12, 13 or whatever, but kids get like that. But what he's doing most of his time is actually spying on his neighbor who lives across the road. His neighbor is sort of the neighborhood's grumpy old man, stay off my lawn. The house is really fucking creepy. Whenever anybody steps foot on his property, just even by accident, the neighbor, old man, never cracker, whatever I always forget how to say his last name, comes out and just steals their shit, and he's known as the neighborhood grump. But after some events where things ain't looking so good for the neighbor, it turns out that the house isn't all that it seems, and I'm just going to sort of leave the plot there. The first time I saw this movie, my uncle took me to see this in the cinemas, and I would have been 2006. I would have been 5 years old, and I remember I was so hyped to see this movie. All the trailers on TV, it just seemed right up my alley. I was super keen for my uncle to take me, and honestly, this movie scared me when I saw it in cinemas. It freaked the shit out of me. But everything about it was so cool. The Halloween atmosphere, the design of the monster house is something that I really dug. Even before I saw the movie and just saw the trailers, I'm what? Its tongue is a carpet, and I'm sort of spoiling things here, but yeah, it was just so fucking cool. I loved this movie from that age, but then for about from the age of 10 to 11 onwards, I hadn't seen this movie for a very long time, and I rewatched this movie for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, and then fell in love with it all over again, and since then I probably watch it once a year, or something like that. I just found a love for this movie again, and I'm fuck, this movie is such a blast. So I'm super excited to talk about it today. Let's get into 2006's Monster House. So like I said in my intro, I know a lot of people are going to be arguing and saying that it's not a horror movie, and yes, it's not a horror movie as we come to sort of expect them to be. But I do want to play against the argument and sort of bring up first the horror elements that are in this movie. But yes, it is a kids' horror. It is a gateway horror. So most of this movie is more so reliant on like the Halloween tone and feel. And yes, the Halloween vibe in this movie is great. Like the autumn leaves, you can feel it's like kind of chilly in the air. It's opposite here in Australia, but you know, you just come to expect it when you're watching American movies, of course. But there is a lot of like low key, fun, creepy shit going on in this movie, to be honest. The scene that scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid, and it still like kind of creeped me out rewatching the movie for today's review. But I remember being in the cinema and being like almost traumatized by this scene. The part where Bones, who is voiced by Jason Lee, by the way, gets eaten by the house when he goes to fetch his kite. That scene like fucking scared the shit out of me as a kid. But as I said, Jason Lee is the voice of him. There's so many like familiar voices in this movie, like Jason Lee, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Kevin James, Nick Cannon. Rewatching it for this time round was the first time I ever listened to the mum's voice, and I'm like, that sounds like Catherine O'Hara, and it was, and I'm like, that's fucking wild. So a lot of familiar voices, but either way, yeah, that scene scared the shit out of me. When this movie wants to push the boundaries and get dark, holy fuck, it knows how to get dark. Like, I'm not even joking. The whole reveal of like why the house is haunted is really fucking creepy and really dark for a kids movie. Like I said, just because it's aimed mostly towards kids doesn't mean that this movie doesn't know how to pack in some like horror storytelling. Like I said, if this was the backstory to a standard adult horror movie, you wouldn't bat a fucking eyelid, but it's in an animated kids movie. It's fucking wild. The backstory is just so haunting and creepy, and it's actually like kind of sad as well, especially how it relates to the character of Old Man Nevercracker. Like that is actually like really sad as well. I like how the kids in this movie are also in legit danger. Yes, maybe you would expect the people in this movie that do get eaten by the house, you know, you don't expect them to stay permanently dead or anything like that. But the whole final sequence, they are legit in danger, and it's very full on and very tense, and I really enjoy that fact about it. This is a haunted house movie, if you agree or not. You know, it's just got fun scares, vibes. It's extremely dark, adult storytelling. Like when you really break it down to, you know, its bones, this movie definitely packs in the horror fun that I think makes it a good kids horror, gateway horror, and honestly fun for the whole family. But not only is Monster House underrated in terms of thrills and scares for everyone watching, I also think this movie is like legitimately fucking hilarious. Like out of all the movies that I spoke about over this year's 31 days, so that's 31 movies over 31 days every day watching something new, this movie had me laughing the most, hands down, over the whole of the month. Like, this movie to me is fucking hysterical. It's right up there for myself being an all-time funniest kid/animated movie. Like, even when I'm not looking for something thrilling or scary, or, you know, not even really looking for like a Halloween vibe or whatever, when I just want to watch a kids movie that's funny, I go to Monster House because, as I said, I think it's genuinely hysterical. To me, the funniest character in this movie is Chowder, this character here, who's DJ's friend. He has so many quotable lines in this movie, and even not just like his lines of dialogue, just the way he acts and carries himself, he is fucking hands down hilarious. One line from this movie that I always quote is a part where this girl is coming up to the room for the first time, and he wants to act older and tough, and he's pretending that he doesn't know that she's there, and he turns around and he's like, "Hey DJ, you got any beers?" And it's like, bro, fuck off, you're 12 years old. It's just fucking hilarious. I love that line. That's a line that I quote in my real life, like whenever I'm over at a mate's house or something. Like, I'll subtly always go, "Hey bro, you got any beers?" Like, I'm old enough to drink, but so it's not as funny, but it's fucking just a line that I love. But even like at one point in the movie, DJ calls him like late one night, and he's like, "Hey, where are your parents?" And he goes, "Dad's at work, and my mum's at the movies with her yoga instructor." And it's like, goes over like the kids probably watching this movie, goes over their heads, but the adults, like, it's so fucking funny. And that's something that I really like about this movie. It doesn't play the humor down to a kid's audience. Like, a lot of it, I'd say like 75-80% of the jokes are aimed purely to adults, and kids are not going to get it, but I think it just makes it even like legit more funny. Like, there's a line in this movie said by this girl here, and she says it as an insult. She goes, "Are you too mentally handicapped? Because if you are, I can train you on how to play baseball. That's like what I can do. And she uses it as an insult. I'm like, that's fucking wild, like in a kid's movie from 2006. So it was that time where you could be a little bit more loose about it, but I love that shit. But as I said, you can't go past Chowder. Even his mannerisms, like when he's playing basketball and he's like dribbling the ball around and he like gets annoyed at DJ and he starts going, like I just love that shit. It's so fucking funny. But every character in this movie is given so much personality. And like I said, just listing the voice cast before, Catherine O'Hara, Jason Lee, Kevin James, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Nick Cannon. But besides Chowder being the funniest character, the character that I do want to highlight the most is Old Man Nevercracker, played by Steve Buscemi. Incredible. Like, he didn't need to go this hard for an animated movie, yet he does. Like, I remember just, like, hearing his voice for the first time, and as a 5-year-old, I didn't know who Steve Buscemi was, but I was, like, fucking terrified of this guy. Even though he was animated, he scared the shit out of me. But just hearing his voice now, I'm like, oh my god, he's, like, going to fucking town on this movie. And as an animated character, like, for him to be still so terrifying, but then you learn about his backstory and, like, why the house is haunted and, things are the way they are. It's genuinely heartbreaking, and he brings a lot of heart to that character as well. So I feel like him and Chowder are the two, like, MVPs of this movie. So Monster House has always been a movie that I have championed and will continue to champion, and I'll never sit quietly when, people just sort of shun it away as being, a kid's movie. I think it's so much more than that. Like I said, the backstory of what's going on is genuinely fucking dark. It has a lot of humor for adults, but then also, it doesn't surpass the kids. I feel like this is one for the whole family to sit down and watch around Halloween time, and I think it really does fit the Halloween vibe as well. So fun, genuinely good story, not afraid to go to dark places, very funny. Of course you can nitpick things about this movie, but then you're just getting fucking ridiculous and, over-analysing it. The one thing that I hear a lot of people bring up is like, how does nobody else in the neighborhood notice shit going on with this house, especially when you look at the climax of this movie. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but, I think other people in the neighborhood would fucking notice this, especially when Nevercracker notices that people are starting to trick-or-treat. Like, you're trying to tell me no one noticed things going on in the climax of this movie, but either way. I've also heard a lot of people sort of pick on the uncanny animation in this movie. It was sort of around the time where, you had movies like The Polar Express, where it's like that motion capture, style of animation. But what other movies did that? Like A Christmas Carol, the one with Jim Carrey. Yeah, like a lot of movies like that were coming out at the time with this style of animation. And yeah, it's got like this uncanny touch to it, I guess. But I think it just adds to the charm of like the type of movies we were getting around this time. And I think Monster House honestly flies under the radar. I'm going to give Monster House an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for joining me for day number 31 of my 31 Days of Horror. I appreciate it so much, guys. Happy Halloween. Like I said, I have all intentions in doing the 31 Days of Horror again next year. I think next year I'll maybe do a theme or maybe do a viewer's choice. Let me know in the comments below what kind of themes you would like to see, or if you would like to do it viewer's choice, or if you'd just like me to pick something from those themes myself. But thank you for joining me, guys. Like I said, I had a blast doing the 31 Days of Horror this year, like I did last time. But I think, again, just having the break between Volume 1 of my 31 Days year off and then coming back to do it this year, I had a great fucking time. And I think this year's 31 Days was overall pretty consistent. I think we sort of had a slump of like not as favourable movies towards the back end, but it really picked up again with last night's review and then today's one. So thank you for joining me, guys, for again the last episode of this year's 31 Days of Horror. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed over this time, or just my subscribers in general, people that have commented, liked. It does mean a lot, and I appreciate it, and I've loved keeping up with all of that. So thank you, guys. I'm gonna have a little break now. I'm not going to be uploading every day, but you'll see me again soon, guys, and thank you for joining me. Peace.